Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Raw Politics. Babu Owino is one of the most aggressive politicians in Kenya. Not just a young politician, a very aggressive politician in Kenya. Now, the following things are true about Babu Owino as of the time of making this video. He has indicated that he is not comfortable with Ruto's leadership. In fact, Babu Owino has gone out of his way and joined those who are saying Ruto must go, the ones who are on the street threatening to march to State House and get rid of him. That confirms that Babu Owino is not very fond of President Ruto and his leadership. He would rather have him removed from office even before 2027. Two, Babu Owino has also shown that he is not very comfortable with Raila Odinga's support for William Ruto. Babu Owino has never supported the broad-based government in any form. He's never been kind to it. He has acted as if it doesn't exist. He's also made it clear that since Raila Odinga has moved to be with Ruto, he is now the de facto opposition leader. Three, it appears that Babu Owino has been kind to politicians who are aligned to the opposition, which is being led currently by Rigathi Gachagua. Now, with that out of the way, we ask a simple question. Can Babu Owino get elected outside ODM? I mean, can Babu Owino get elected without Raila's support? That is what we want to look into in this video. And if that is a topic that interests you, take a second, subscribe, so that when we produce videos of this nature, you are notified. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, Babu Owino has not hidden his distaste for Ruto and the broad-based government, something that has put him at loggerheads with none other than Raila Odinga. If you go to parliament, you'll find that whenever ODM has an opportunity to reward loyalists or to reward members of parliament, they have deliberately skipped Babu Owino. It was so bad to the point that there was a day Babu Owino read a press conference saying that when you need us, we are very important, but when it is time to share political posts, we are told we are still young. Babu Owino also moved some times back across some constituencies in Luoland, and he shared his frustration that anytime he would want to express interest in leadership positions, whether outside parliament or inside parliament, he would be reminded that he was young and he should relax. And that is some rule Babu Owino said he would not follow. He believes, and even in the recent podcast, he has made it clear that he believes it is his time to go ahead and lead. There was a time he was even taunting that he would go for the presidency come 2027 with Ndindi Nyoro as his running mate or vice versa. But that is beside the point. I am persuaded 100% that Babu Owino cannot vie for the presidency come 2027. He is likely to try to retain his seat in Embakasi East or to boldly face Sakaja in the Nairobi gubernatorial race, which is interesting because Tim Wanyonyi has moved to Bungoma. If Babu was to go for gubernatorial race, that makes the race between him and Sakaja. And that is where I want to bring, can he challenge Raila Odinga? You see, if Raila doesn't back Babu Owino, whether he's going for the Embakasi seat or whether he's going for the gubernatorial race, things become very difficult for him very quickly. Let me explain. Nairobi's politics is a funny one. But however funny, Raila Odinga has always won Nairobi. When you go to the presidential polls, Raila Odinga has always won Nairobi. Always won Nairobi. Whether you go to 2013, actually, whether you go to 2007, 2013, 2017, even 2022, Raila Odinga has always won Nairobi. And because he is always one Nairobi, okay, that tells you he has serious influence in terms of who becomes the governor. And so you must be very crafty to win without Raila's help. In Sakaja's case, I am persuaded that he won with Raila's help, because Sakaja initially was really pro-Azimio, and then he went to Mudavadi, and then through Mudavadi he came to UDA, because in Azimio it had been decided that Igade was going to be the governor. ODM was going to get Senate and women rep position for Nairobi. So Sakaja, seeing that there was no option for him, he moved to ANC. Then they used the ANC to get to UDA. And when he got to UDA, he became the candidate. But I believe that he also still had the backing of Raila Odinga, because it's obvious that Raila Odinga was not comfortable with Igade. And based on the votes that Sakaja got, you can see that he had the support of ODM. Why? Sifuna and Pasaris won the positions they were contesting for, courtesy of ODM. And Manga and Margaret Wanjiru both lost to this ODM, yet Sakaja won. So why? Why wouldn't the votes that got Sakaja the victory also get Margaret Wanjiru the victory and Millicent Omanga the same victory? That was not going to happen, because most of the ODM people who voted for Sakaja did not vote for Millicent Omanga, neither did they vote for Wanjiru. And that is how Sakaja became governor, mainly by getting the support of ODM in Nairobi. And to prove this, immediately Sakaja was elected. Even when there was still chaos and differences between Raila and Ruto, Sakaja went ahead and appointed to his cabinet 3 of ODM diehards. In fact, I believe one was Raila's aide. That is to prove that Sakaja understood very well where his votes came from. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that to win Nairobi, okay, to win Nairobi, you will need the support of Raila in one way or the other. But then you will be like, what about Sonko? Sonko was going against Kidero. Yes, Sonko was vying against Kidero, who Luos were seeing as someone who had disobeyed Raila Odinga. Around 2014, in a rally at Uhuru Park, Kidero was heckled when Raila was holding his Baba While You Away rally. You see? Kidero had been seen by Luos as someone who was not loyal to Raila. To make matters worse, Kidero had gone to, I think, a agricultural show where President Uhuru was, and as the governor, he gave a speech around 2017 saying that the following year, he was expecting to see Uhuru Kenyatta launching the show again. Meaning, according to him, Uhuru Kenyatta was going to be re-elected. So these are things that hurt Luos. And if you even talk to Luos in Nairobi, they will tell you that a good number of them voted for Sonko. And that is why Sonko won with a very serious margin, around 800,000 votes. I'm just telling you how Nairobi works. You must get Raila's support. If you don't have it, it becomes very difficult to be governor. In short, I'm telling you, if Babu Owino chooses to go for governor, he will need the backing of Raila Odinga. But if he doesn't have the backing of Raila Odinga, he will need the Kikuyu voting bloc behind him. And not just that, he will also need a significant number of Luos supporting him. The problem with that is, for Luos moving into 2027, if Raila Odinga is not vying, they are going to vote for Ruto. That is what they are saying. They are going to vote for Ruto to punish some people for rejecting Raila Odinga in 2022. So for them, it will be, we are going to vote for Ruto to punish the people of the mountain for rejecting Raila Odinga in 2022. And so by re-electing Ruto, it will be punishing them, giving them what they don't want now, but which they wanted earlier. Okay, let's go with that. I'm not saying that is how it's going to happen, but that's what they are saying. So let's go with that. If that is the case, then associating with Rigathi means that majority of Luos will not even want to hear what you have to say. And that is why Babu Owino, as bold and as independent-minded as he is, he has not openly associated with Rigathi Gachagua and his team. He has really tried to stay away from them. Why? Babu doesn't attend most of ODM events either. So why can't he just associate with the Rigathi Gachagua? The so-called Gen Zs that who support he enjoys, who support him on social media, by the way, who celebrate him, most of them are just the political youth wing of Rigathi's party. So why can't Babu Owino just go directly and associate with Rigathi Gachagua? Because Babu Owino may be many things, but he's a very smart politician. He is not there because he's naive. He knows when to stop. And he knows that there are political red lines that once you cross them, there is no coming back. He knows that if he associated openly with Rigathi Gachagua, he will not even go and get the cheers he was getting in Homa Bay at Mawego. No, he wouldn't. Because Luos will not entertain that. They would consider that betrayal. If associating with Ruto, before Raila Odinga said that Ruto, it's okay to associate with Ruto, put the likes of Jalango in serious problems, that they would not even hold certain meetings. They would not even attend certain events. Even Luo music events, something that Jalango was the pioneer. He would not even attend his own shows, the shows that he had organized, because Luo saw him as a traitor. So he knows, Babu Owino that is, that should he choose to just go and join Rigathi openly, it means he cannot come back to Raila's camp, and he cannot be looking for the Luo vote. And without the Luo vote, I told you, even if he has the Kikuyu vote, he must still get the Luo vote in Nairobi to be governor. But let's say he chooses not to be governor, and he just wants to retain his seat as the MP for Embakasi East. Just a brief history. Embakasi East is very cosmopolitan, but even before Babu came in, Aluo was an MP there. So Raila Odinga has a lot of influence in Embakasi East. But Babu Owino had some trick. When he got elected the first time, it was a very narrow victory. A victory that was contested in the court, and Babu's election was nullified. Had it not been for the handshake of 2018, Babu and Mureithi would have gone back to the polls to contest Embakasi East again. But then the 2018 handshake happened and a few things were done here, and Babu won the appeal. So there was no by-election in Embakasi East. But Babu learned something, that Embakasi East being cosmopolitan, you need to change how you serve the people. And I want to tell you, as somebody who has interacted with the people of Embakasi East, they really like Babu Owino, irrespective of his political party. That is why he really won by a wide margin in 2022. He won by a wide margin. He was voted for by people who were voting for Ruto. People who were rejecting Raila at the top were voting for Babu Owino at the constituency level. So, if let's say Babu Owino goes for the MP without Raila's backing, the challenge is he might lose the Luo vote, which, in my opinion, could be the majority by ethnic categorization in that constituency. And so if he loses that, even if he was to get the Kikuyu and the Kamba vote, or even Kisii vote from the region, it might still be difficult to win definitively. So what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that should Babu Owino decide that he's going to go into these polls without Raila, he needs to be extra creative, because chances are that he might lose a big chunk of the Luo support. And if he loses that, considering that he wants to inherit the mantle from Raila Odinga, it might be tricky for him even to achieve that. Because let's say you are elected as a rebel, somebody that Luos don't want. Then how do you turn again and now be Luo's favorite? It has happened with Raphael Tuju. It has happened with Evans Kidero. You see, Evans Kidero was being seen as the guy who was to replace Raila Odinga. Ask mature politicians or commentators, they will tell you. In Luoland, people were like, when Raila retires, we have Evans Kidero. Raila comes from Central Nyanza, Evans Kidero comes from South Nyanza. And people were feeling it was time for the people of South Nyanza also to lead the Luo nation, because they have not done that for the past 60 years. And Kidero was their son. This did not work well when the feeling was that Kidero was working with Uhuru Kenyatta and was friendly with him more than he was friendly with Raila Odinga. That his loyalty, when his loyalty was questioned, he would be heckled. And you saw him lose the elections of 2017, and Luos didn't even bother. They were proudly saying how they voted for Sonko to punish that traitor. Raphael Tuju was the best performing politician from Luo Nyanza. I don't think that somebody has even come close to what Raphael Tuju managed to do with his association with Kibaki. But associating with Kibaki when Raila Odinga has said no is seen as betrayal. And so Tuju suffered the fate. Even though Uhuru would make him a minister, whether Kibaki would make him a minister, people didn't care. People didn't see Tuju as a leader anymore. Even his ambitions to be the governor of Siaya, people are still skeptic. That is what I'm trying to tell you, that if Babu Owino decides to cut links with Raila Odinga, he is going to be in trouble. Now, I know some of you would come here with, we are different, Luos have changed, that is the Luos of yesteryears. Today, our kingpin is Babu Owino, Raila is a con man, let him go. Okay, that is very good for social media posts. But for real politics, that does not work. Because I told you, I have opposed Raila since 2007. So I have not voted for him. I have campaigned against him. I have talked to Luos. And in most cases, I have always been persuaded that in 2013, Luos were going to decide otherwise. They didn't. I was like, no, now they're tired with him. After 2013 fail, they are given up. In fact, most Luos friends of mine, I don't know, if you're one of them and you're watching this, there are some that we met with and they were like, oh, we are tired with this mzee and we are moving forward. Let us now chart our own path and etc. We rallied behind other leaders. My friend, when it reached 2017, they overwhelmingly voted for Raila Odinga. And now after 2017, they were like, no, Raila, we are tired. We've tried. Just go and retire. When it reached 2022, Luos overwhelmingly voted for Raila Odinga. So Raila Odinga is influential. In Luo Nyanza, even the Luos in Nairobi, the ones that are emancipated, the ones that are politically woke, they still are very loyal to Raila Odinga. That's why you saw Ruto doing a Meet the People tour in Nairobi with thousands of people meeting him and celebrating him in Luo-dominated areas. That is because of Raila Odinga. If Raila Odinga was to say today, the way you are arguing that Luos have changed their minds and etc., if Raila Odinga said today that Babu Owino is the enemy, I want to tell you that it doesn't matter what you think. Babu Owino might not even go to Jacaranda. The same people that were very loyal to him would just change their mind against Babu in a minute. In a moment, they will be like, Babu is the worst person possible. He will not go to Mawego and other places in Migori and Kisumu and say Tialala and meet a crowd. He won't. The crowd from Luland, that would be gone. I'm not saying that it's going to be absolute. That is going to be rejected by every Luo alive. We are working with majority here, and majority will listen to what Raila tells them. That is why I told you that even in his opposition to Raila Odinga, Babu Owino has not dared to move. He has not dared to do two things: criticize Raila Odinga openly, and two, Babu Owino has not even dared to associate himself with Rigathi Gachagua. Because if he does, Raila Odinga might make pronouncements. And if he does make such pronouncement, my friend, it becomes very risky for whoever they are targeted at. Babu Owino might not even be elected again in ODM or anywhere in Nairobi, unless he goes and gets rehabilitated. So my advice has always remained one. For Babu Owino, my advice has remained that he has the best opportunity other politicians would die for. Why? Babu Owino, I told you, I began this video by telling you, is the most aggressive politician. It's one of the most aggressive politicians in Kenya. In fact, Babu Owino is being seen as the guy who should inherit Raila, even by Luos. Some older, they are like, that boy is good. Let us give him a chance. After Raila Odinga. And remember, Sakaja can only serve for 2 terms. So by 2032, that seat will be vacant. If Babu Owino remained under Raila Odinga, he will inherit 2 things. He easily inherits Nairobi gubernatorial seat. And 2, he might easily inherit the Luo politics. Because as far as I'm concerned, the people that have been mentioned to take over from Raila Odinga are not as charismatic as Babu Owino is. Opiyo Wandayi, a wonderful politician, but might not be as charismatic as Babu Owino is. The likes of Badi, a good orator, he might not be moving the emotions the way Babu does. So for me, my advice remains, Babu Owino, stay with Raila, stay under the broad-based government, defend your seat in Embakasi East, which I believe you will win by a landslide. That is where you can say there may be no election. Do that, then inherit maybe the Luo politics in Nairobi come 2032. That's my advice. Actually, that's what I wanted to tell you, that in my opinion, Babu may not succeed without Raila Odinga, but I could be wrong. Anyway, if you found value in this video, let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share it with your friends. And if you want to know more about my political advice, unsolicited, to the Honorable Babu Owino, watch it here.